What would you do if the floodwaters kept rising and the predators were already inside? Welcome to Cine, where survival isn't just a test of strength, it's a race against nature itself. In today's video, we dive into Crawl, a nail-bite thriller where a young woman battles not only a raging hurricane, but a swarm of bloodthirsty alligators lurking beneath her childhood home. Get ready for rising tension, claustrophobic terror, and an unforgettable fight for life. Let's crawl into the chaos. Crawl begins with Haley Keller, a talented young swimmer, practicing in a competition pool. Her training session is cut short when she receives a call from her older sister Beth. The tone is urgent. Beth warns that Hurricane Wendy, now classified as a Category 5 storm, is about to hit Florida. She urges Haley to evacuate the state immediately. But Beth also reveals something that deeply concerns Haley. She hasn't been able to contact their father, Dave, to warn him about the storm. Since their parents' divorce, Dave has been living alone in Florida, increasingly distant from both daughters. This news unsettles Haley, who still worries for her father's safety despite their strained relationship. Without hesitation, she decides to drive to Florida and check on him herself. As she drives toward Coral Lake, where Dave lives, Haley tries to reach him multiple times, but every call goes straight to voicemail. The roads become increasingly chaotic as the storm closes in. When she reaches the Coral Lake area, traffic grinds to a halt. Police officers are barricading the roads and evacuating the local residents to safety. At the blockade, Haley encounters Wayne, her sister Beth's ex-boyfriend and a member of the Florida police force. Wayne strongly advises her not to proceed, warning that the lake is overflowing and flash floods are imminent. But Haley, determined to find her father, ignores his warnings. Using a shortcut, she bypasses the barricade and reaches her father's home. Arriving at Dave's house, Haley finds no sign of her father, only their loyal family dog Sugar. As she searches the house, old memories flood back. She pauses in front of a row of swimming trophies, each one a reminder of the childhood competitions she once dominated. Dave had been her coach then, and Haley recalls vividly the moments when, at the final stretch of a race, she'd see her father's outstretched hand, reaching toward her with pride and encouragement. But those memories are bittersweet. Since the divorce, their bond has faded, leaving behind emotional distance and unresolved tension. Assuming Dave might have gone to their old family home and unsold property near the lake, Haley heads there. Immediately, her instincts prove correct. Dave's car is parked right outside the old house, which was supposed to have been sold after the divorce, but apparently never was. She enters and searches every room, but still no sign of him. In the kitchen, she finds his cell phone, a clear sign he hasn't gone far. Sugar begins barking insistently at the stairs leading to the basement. Following the dog's cues, Haley calls out, but there's no response. Driven by worry, she opens the basement hatch and crawls into the crawl space below the house. In the dark, muddy underfloor, Haley finally finds her father unconscious, wedged behind a series of iron pipes. He's badly injured, with deep bite marks on his shoulder and a broken leg. As she attempts to drag his body toward the stairs, disaster strikes. A massive alligator suddenly bursts out from the shadows near the stairs, blocking their escape. Thinking quickly, Haley retreats with Dave back to the space between the iron pipes, which are too narrow for the gator to squeeze through. Dave regains consciousness and is stunned to see Haley. He warns her about the alligator that attacked him, confirming the danger is real. Haley, confused, asks why he never sold the house like he was supposed to. Dave explains that the sale fell through due to unresolved negotiations with the buyer. Their conversation is cut short when Haley tries to use her cell phone to call for help, only to realize it fell out of her pocket during the earlier struggle and now lies outside their hiding spot. Determined, Haley attempts to retrieve the phone. Dave warns her that while alligators have poor hearing on land, they can see extremely well in low light. Haley moves cautiously, watching the gator's movements. Just as she reaches the phone and dials 911, a second gator appears from behind and lunges at her. She narrowly escapes, rushing back toward the narrow space, but not before one of the reptiles grabs her leg. She kicks at its snout with her free leg until it finally lets go. Limping and in pain, she reaches safety, only to be attacked again by the second alligator. After a desperate struggle, she manages to evade both predators and crawls to another hiding place. Now safe but severely wounded, Haley bandages her leg tightly to stop the bleeding, gritting her teeth against the pain. Meanwhile, Dave spots a nearby tool bag he had brought for home repairs. Using its contents, he begins to straighten his broken leg with improvised splints, trying to stabilize himself enough to move. While repositioning herself, Haley notices two men outside near a gas station. She realizes they're not there to help. They're robbing an ATM and looting a convenience store. Desperate to get their attention, she uses her flashlight and activates the car alarm. But before help can arrive, the gators strike again, killing both robbers and their accomplice inside the shop. Back in the crawl space, Dave tells Haley about another possible exit through the storm drain. She crawls to the area he mentioned and tries to remove the objects blocking the way, but they're too heavy. She then brings up another option, the exhaust pipe. Dave, however, warns her that the alligators originally entered the house through that very pipe, making it extremely dangerous as they consider their next move. Wayne and his police partner Pete finally arrive at the old Keller house, searching for Haley and Dave by boat. Unbeknownst to them, they are about to enter the same flooded danger zone that has already claimed so many lives. As the storm raged on, Wayne entered the house, determined to find Haley and Dave. Meanwhile, his partner Pete waited outside, unaware of the deadly threat lurking in the rising water. Pete noticed some strange, erratic movements in the water near the porch. His curiosity proved fatal when he leaned in for a closer look. He was suddenly ambushed and violently torn apart by a swarm of ravenous alligators. Inside the house, Wayne had made it to the crawl space and finally located Haley and Dave. Before they could warn him about the danger, it was already too late. In an instant, Wayne was pulled into the crawl space by one of the massive alligators. His screams echoed for a moment before he was dragged under and devoured alive, his gun floating to the surface. Witnessing yet another death, and now with the only rescuers gone, Haley and Dave felt the crushing weight of despair. The sewers beneath the house were rapidly filling with floodwater from the nearby lake, and their time was running out. Amid the chaos, Dave took a moment to speak from the heart. Suffering together seemed to open a long-closed door between father and daughter. Dave tried to address the emotional distance that had grown between them over the years. Haley had long believed that she was somehow responsible for the divorce between her parents, but Dave assured her that wasn't true. He admitted that their marriage had ended because he simply couldn't give his ex-wife the happiness she deserved. It had nothing to do with their children. His words brought long-needed healing to Haley, and for the first time in a long while, they felt like a family again. Realizing they had no time to waste, the two began looking for a way to escape before the water fully submerged the crawl space. Dave tried to distract a nearby crocodile by banging on a metal pipe. As expected, the noise lured one of the predators toward him. In a burst of adrenaline and survival instinct, Dave struck the gator with a heavy object, landing repeated blows until the creature finally collapsed, lifeless. Meanwhile, the path leading back to the stairs was blocked by thick wooden debris, making it impossible for Haley to reach the upper level from that direction. With no other choice, she decided to swim down the drainage system despite Dave's desperate protests. While swimming through the submerged tunnels, Haley made a shocking discovery deep inside the drain. The alligators had built a nest. Several large eggs had already hatched, and baby alligators were scattered throughout the water, indicating that the population was growing and becoming even more dangerous. Suddenly, Haley saw a massive gator slither through the water near her. Spotting Wayne's gun floating nearby, she reached for it, but the reptile lunged and clamped its jaws around her arm. Acting quickly, Haley fired the gun directly into the alligator's jaw, her arm still inside its mouth. The blast killed the creature instantly. Bleeding and breathless, Haley swam through the final stretch of the sewer, narrowly avoiding another pursuing gator, and emerged into the lake just outside her house. Once free, Haley rushed back inside and tore open the floorboards in the living room where Sugar, the dog, had earlier barked. She dove into the waterlogged crawl space, desperately searching for Dave, who was now unconscious and completely submerged. Refusing to give up, Haley dragged his body out and began administering CPR on the flooded floor. After several tense moments, Dave finally coughed and began to breathe again. With the floodwaters rising rapidly and the storm worsening, they knew they had to escape before it was too late. Carrying Sugar, Haley and Dave waded cautiously through waist-deep water toward a nearby rescue boat. They moved slowly, trying not to attract attention from the alligators. The rain had finally stopped, but the calm was deceptive. Just as they reached the boat, a group of alligators began circling them. Haley made a split-second decision to swim ahead and distract the predators, drawing them away from Dave and Sugar. Once on the boat, she quickly helped her father and the dog aboard. But before they could make their escape, a warning siren blared in the distance. Floodwaters had breached the dam. A massive wave surged through the area, capsizing the boat and dragging them back toward the now submerged house. Dave managed to climb a staircase inside, searching through drawers and cabinets until he found a set of emergency beacons. Meanwhile, Haley, swept into the kitchen by the powerful current, discovered a walkie-talkie and used it to try contacting emergency services. As Dave lit one of the beacons and called for Sugar, he noticed a crocodile stalking the dog from behind. In a desperate bid to protect her, he threw himself into the water and managed to wrestle the gator away, saving Sugar once again. He carried her upstairs, racing to higher ground. Meanwhile, Haley found herself being hunted by another gator that chased her into the bathroom. Thinking quickly, she devised a plan to trap the beast. She lured it into the tight confines of the shower cubicle and, in a daring move, climbed onto the top of the stall and leaped out, slamming the door shut behind her. With the creature trapped, she bolted upstairs to reunite with Dave. She told him to go up to the attic with Sugar while she lit the beacon from the upstairs bedroom window, hoping to signal a nearby rescue helicopter. As Haley prepared to light the flare, another gator attacked, sinking its teeth into her shoulder and dragging her into the deadly current. struggling to stay conscious, her mind flooded with childhood memories of her father's cheers, her victories in the pool, and the strength she once had. Fueled by these flashes of hope, Haley fought back. She drove the flare into the gator's eye, killing it instantly and escaping its grasp. Above, Dave used the last of his strength to break open the attic ceiling, climbing out onto the roof just as the house was almost completely submerged. Haley, battered but alive, fought through the raging current and managed to reach the roof. As her hand began to slip from the gutter, Dave reached down and pulled her up. Just in time, moments later, the worry blades of a helicopter cut through the air. Haley lit the final beacon, holding it high. The red flare cut through the darkness as the helicopter circled overhead. Dave turned to his daughter, pride in his eyes, as they awaited their long-overdue rescue. The film ends. Crawl isn't just about surviving a monster storm or escaping a pack of bloodthirsty alligators. It's about fighting to reconnect, reclaim, and survive when nature and trauma strike all at once. At its core, Crawl delivers a tightly wound, survival thriller where every second counts. Haley starts out searching for her estranged father, but what she truly finds is buried deeper than the flooded crawl space. In the middle of rising waters and snapping jaws, father and daughter rediscover their bond, forged in pain, fractured by life, and finally healed in the heart of chaos. The final act is pure adrenaline, a race against time, water, and nature's fury. But even when the rescue seems impossible, Haley doesn't give up. She outsmarts predators, fights through injury, and ultimately saves her father, just as he once cheered her on from the pool's edge. When she lights the flare at the end, it's not just a cry for help. It's a signal that Haley is no longer the fractured girl she was. She's a survivor, a fighter, and a daughter who refused to let go. And just like that, through blood, sweat, and floodwater, they lived. Crawl proves that sometimes, the scariest monsters aren't the ones with teeth, but the moments we hesitate, the words we never say, and the strength we forget we have until it's all on the line.
If you find this video interesting, please give it a like, click on a subscribe button in order not to miss the incoming videos. Goodbye, and see you then.